Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm talking about all the losses I took today in the foreign exchange market. It's so sad. I'm not even excited making this video, but same way I always share a breakdown of my winning trades. I think it's fair enough to also do a breakdown on all my losses today. Okay, I think I had about 4 losses and just 2 setups that ended up moving in profit. And so let's get right into it. So today there was news today on USD. There was news today, and I think that was what affected our price. And so we had lots and lots of spike up, spike down, spike up, spike down in the market. Lot of pumps and dumps. Okay, so I think I kind of overtraded today, in my opinion. I overtraded, and maybe that was the reason for my loss. Okay, so let's quickly go to the 15 minutes time frame. On the 15 minutes time frame, okay, so this was the start of the London session right here. This move for the start of the London session. In the video I posted yesterday, I talked about taking an entry right here, but I said I wasn't going to take the sell entry because it was past my trading hour. Okay, and I don't know if you watched that particular video. Maybe you would have capitalized on that and get into a sell trade right there. So this actually moved into profits of over 61 pips. Okay, so and I was expecting price to get to this level right here, and it actually did get to this level, because if you go to the higher time frames, maybe 2 hours, there's a particular point of demand that was mitigated right there. Let me check 1 hour. Yeah, as you can see, this was mitigated. The 1 hour point of interest was mitigated and price moved all the way up. So I got into a buy actually on GU when I realized that that the H1 has been mitigated right here. I market executed a buy, and I was able to let me just say scalp. I was just able to scalp to this Asian range high. Okay, so my entry was late. It was a late entry, and if I was to judge this particular trade, I will say it was a FOMO trade. Okay, uh FOMO means fear of missing out. Okay, so at at sometimes every trader do experience this. We just have to control it. So I think that was what happened to me actually, though eventually it was a winning trade for me, but I think I got in late, and I ended up catching some nice pips right there. I got probably about 30 pips thereabouts, but it wasn't the best, to be honest. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best. Okay, so now this was London session. So moving to the New York session. Okay, so during the New York session, I saw price started retracing from this place, which it was kind of should I say realistic enough. Okay, because moving to the lower time frame, after price had cleared the Asian range high, we tapped into this supply zone that has imbalance right there, and it kind of makes sense to me to short, because um price left inefficiency right there from the buy that I took. Price was inefficient right there, so we had imbalances to be filled, and we have demand zone to be mitigated. Okay, so if I hadn't jumped into a buy at this particular point during the London session, what I could have done was wait for a confirmation entry, because this is the last low and this was the lower high that gave this last low. So normally I should expect price to push back into this level. Probably when price pushed all the way up here, we should have retracement before pushing up. Okay, so that was supposed to be the confirmation entry for this buy trade, right? So now that this wasn't mitigated, so I then during the New York session, I was then looking for shorts on GU. So, and this time around, I waited for a confirmation entry. As you can see right here, we have this low that gave the last push into this point of interest, right? And so just right there, I had this point of interest marked out. Okay, I had this point of interest marked out to take a sell trade. Okay, so uh it moved in profits and I was actually happy. I was like, okay, finally a trade that makes sense today. Okay, so and I had my stop loss at this high. Of course, better to have a protected trade. So I had it right there and I was hoping price will break this low before I get into break even. But as you can see, price came down and the first news release was the core PC price index, which was negative for the US dollar, and that made me um so I got stopped out of this trade right here. Okay, so this was one of the losses. I got stopped out and that was it. So the same thing on Euro USD. And as you can see presently now, okay, price wicked above and you can see price action has not been good because of news. Okay, price moved up, came down, used this as demand zone, moved up again, and now it's coming down. And as you can see, my projection was actually right. Price is now heading to the point of interest that I want to take my profits from, which is it's so sad because I'm no longer in the cell. I've been taken out. Okay, so there are days like this, and it is what it is. So let's move forward to the next. You can see right there. Let's move forward to EU. Same thing with EU. EU was really painful because I was actually waiting to let's move to the lower time frame. On EU, I was actually I wanted to buy EU when we took out this sell side liquidity right here. When we took out this sell side liquidity, I was looking to buy EU to this point of interest right here at London Open. When I woke up, I wanted to buy EU, but I was watching price. Okay, so moving to the 1 minute time frame now. Once we add this sell side liquidity grab, okay, market took out people that had sell stop right here and market pushed back up. Once we were able to get this break of structure right here, I was then hoping that price will come back into this level so I can long EU. And when I checked the currency strength meter this morning, Euro was full just like this, and that got me really excited for a buy on EU. So stop loss was about 13 pips or 12 pips thereabout. So I expected that price was going to drop back here before pushing up so I can catch this buy. But as you can see, market didn't return back into this point of interest. So just keep in mind that at times like this, where your point of interest will not be mitigated and price will end up moving into your desired direction. So I missed out on this trade. Okay, so let me now move to the loss I had. Okay, let's move to the loss. So the loss was same as GU. What really prompted me to sell EU? I didn't exactly get that confirmation. Okay, there's this point of interest. Okay, at this level of supply right here, though this wasn't a clear supply to me, it wasn't a clear supply. Okay, it wasn't a clear supply because even if we have it refined this way, I did not see any reason for for selling EU actually from this point. But because we were in New York session and because I had seen that setup on GU for a perfect sell, that I showed to you, I was like, okay, we could probably sell EU2, because then if you look at this push to the upside, we have demand zones, we have demand levels that still needs to be mitigated and filled. So it still kind of makes sense to actually sell EU as well. So what did I do? I waited for confirmation, because this um wasn't a valid or a good point of interest for me. Okay, so I waited for price to break below this low, and once price broke below this particular low, I then started looking for re-entry opportunity, and my stop loss at this high right here. Okay, and price actually moved. Okay, price tapped this point of interest. We moved in profit for about 10 pips, and when the news came, the news spiked me out. So even by waiting for confirmation entry, you can see that the losses I have today, they are not as if I took trades that were not good enough. I waited for my confirmation, but yet I was stopped out. So I got stopped out. This was my second loss. So moving on to the third loss I have, which is on GBP JPY. It was also a sell trade that I took that got me a loss. I was actually in profit on this GJ. I was actually in profit from right here. Okay, on this particular GBP JPY, I will kind of blame myself for taking the sell trade. Actually, I will blame myself, because if you've gone through my Asian session range concept video, um, you remember that I mentioned that during the London session, you should always wait for a side of your Asian range to be taken out before you start looking for trade opportunities for the day, and also that we should try and avoid taking trades that are in this in this box right here, the Asian range. Okay, so I I think I blame myself for having a loss on this particular pair. Why did I take a sell? From that video I posted yesterday, I talked about the liquidity. Sorry about that. I talked about liquidity sitting right here. And if we move to the 1 hour on GJ, you'll see that we have imbalance to be filled right here, this demand zone to be mitigated as well. Okay, so this was the reason for myself, because I saw that liquidity needs to be grabbed below this set of equal lows, and we also have the Asian range low to be taken out as well. So I was able to find an entry right here from this level right here. Just as you can see, we had multiple break of structure from right here. It was a risky trade, because just above here we have the Asian range high, and just above that we have a we have an imbalance that needs to be filled right here. Okay, so actually taking this sell was a risky one for me, but I just went ahead to sell when once I was able to get a confirmation entry. So I saw this during the London session that, oh, we broke structure, we broke this. Though the structure that was broken were internal structures, they were not the major structure. So normally this should have been the real break of structure, okay? So then start looking for a sell trade, okay? But then there are times where you can capitalize on minor break of structures, that is the internal structures on the lower time frame, to take trades from. Okay, so we broke this and broke this, and we had a retracement back up, and as you can see, this supply zone here was mitigated right here. Okay, so once I saw this, I was like, oh, I think we are really going to push down first into the H1 point of interest before the buy later happen for the day. So, but I waited. I then said, if these two lows were taken out, if we should have a break of structure here, I will then get into a proper sell. And I was able to cite this point of interest right there. Clean point of interest, very, very clean. Okay, so markets came in, tapped. It was really, really a fast movement because once price spiked into this level, it dropped immediately. So by the time I executed a sell, I think my order was filled somewhere around here. It was really, really filled at a late price, and I was really annoyed. The spike was, I don't know if anybody watching this video was on GJ chat this morning during the London session. To be able to understand what I was saying, that understand that there was this spike down was really fast, okay? So I got a position in at this point and I was in profit. Market moved again, broke structure again, and I was really, really happy because I'm very sure price is coming to fill the H1 imbalance that I have marked out. So when price got here, I was in profit, and price started moving back up again. I wasn't scared at all. I just left this position opened, and I was like, oh, I think price is coming to mitigate this supply. And trust me, I got into another position right here because I was so confident in this sell trade. I had another position right here. And as you can see, market started moving in my favor. I was in profits, blues on my MT4. And before you know it, price wigged me out. And that was where I got two losses, one from the first position I had here and another one from here. So making a total of 4 straight losses during the London session today. Okay. So EU, GU, GJ. Moving on to Nasdaq now. I also took position on Nasdaq, and I took two positions during the London session, which was a um which was a winning trade, and later in the New York session I took another trade which was a losing trade. So in total I think I had 5 losses, two from GJ, one on EU, one on GU. So let me talk about the two wins I had on Nasdaq. Okay, so okay, starting from the 1 hour time frame now. From the 1 hour time frame during this session, let me cut the chart out so we can see what we are doing. Okay, so at this particular time during the London session, I saw that price was reacting from this here. Okay, market was reacting from this zone, and just like the previous trade I had recently that I talked about, imbalance on these indices on this pair. I think I don't know. Don't let me go into that. I just by looking at this candle right here, you can see that we have massive imbalance to be filled, and that was the reason why I took a sell trade. So price was reacting from the supply. I went down to the lower time frame, and as you can see on the lower time frame, so when I got to the chart, price had already printed this when I got to the chart this morning. So as you can see, we have a perfect break of structure right here. We also have a break of structure right there. We also took out this low, and the Asian range low was grabbed as well. Okay, so I saw reasons for shorting Nasdaq this morning. Okay, so now as you can see, so all I did was wait for price to retrace back up, and I had this supply zone marked out. But keeping in mind that the Asian range high is yet to be grabbed. Okay, so we have liquidity sitting right here. Okay, if you are yet to watch my video on Asian session range concept, please go and watch. You will get better understanding of what I'm talking about. Okay, so putting this in mind that we are yet to grab this price, and this is indices, price could spike up first before dropping. Okay, so because of that, I decided that I was going to, though this zone looks mitigated already, but I just knew market was just going to retrace back to this area. Okay, so for stop loss, I add my stop loss above this Asian range high, just in case price decide to spike up. So my stop loss was at this end, and my alert went off. I got into a sell, and I think my order was filled around this level because I didn't have the perfect entry from right here. I didn't. So, and for my take profits, my target was for this imbalance to be filled because I really don't know what Nasdaq was going to do. I wanted it to be a short trade. I just want to catch the sell, and as you can see, I was in profit. My take profit was it. I got out of the trade, and market started reversing back up. So that was my first winning trade. Okay, and on Nasdaq. So um moving to the second trade I took. Okay, the second trade I took was because I took a buy trade, and that was because my bias totally on Nasdaq is for buy. Okay, because I was anticipating that price needs to fill up all of this gap and all of this gap. Okay, so, and as you can see, previous price action, the market has been giving us higher highs, higher low, higher highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Then this, I I thought this was going to be the next higher low for us to push further into this high. Okay, so I got into a buy trade right here. There was a confirmation entry on the lower time frame. Okay, so this was the high that gave this last push that mitigated the zone. Okay, so once we broke above it, I once we broke above this high, I just market executed a buy. I did not wait for the retracement, okay, on this particular pair, because just because we broke this structure, I didn't wait. And the reason why I did not wait for a retracement back down is because when I took a look at all the price action here, everything looks filled, okay? Everything looks filled. The only place that is not really filled is this zone right here. So, and it was on the 1 minute time frame. I've checked other time frames, they were no point of interest that was really clear to me as such. So that was why I just market executed a buy trade. Okay, and as you can see, price moved into profit. Okay, price went into profit, and I think I got out somewhere around here when the market started reversing again. So now I've had those losses on those other forex pairs, and I wasn't going to be playing with the market anymore. I just wanted to grab what I could grab and get out. So once I saw price was reversing back at this particular point, I got out of my buy trade from right here. I got out of my buy trade, and later I decided to just calm down and just not worry about those four losses that I had already, and just try to analyze the chart properly. Okay, so, and that was when it dawned on me that we've actually broken this high again, and market is retracing right here just to come back to mitigate this demand zone that caused this break of structure. Okay, so again I got into another buy trade. So making a total of 3 trades that was in profit for me, but I did not use I didn't use my normal risk, the lot size that I would normally use for on my trades, because now I've had almost 4 losses already on those forex pairs. So I just did a small lot size, and as you can see, it went in profit, and I didn't get in exactly at this point right here. My entry was somewhere around this level, and I was able to get 84 pips from I was able to get 84 pips from this buy. Okay, so I also got out of the trade again when I saw this reversal. Price was really spiking up and spiking down, so I didn't want to take any chances. And for my take profit, my profit was actually, for the first one, was actually at this high. And why I got out of this third trade was because this Asian range I thought the Asian range I was already grabbed. I thought this was grabbed. Okay, that was why I just decided to close out this trade, because sometimes once the Asian range high or low is grabbed, markets will reverse again. Okay, so that was why I got out at around 84 pips and I was out of the market. Okay, you would think that should be all for the day, right? No, I didn't stop there. I went ahead and traded more and I ended up with loss. Okay, so how did I now get the loss I had on Nasdaq? I got the loss right here. So yet again, I saw that this was another break of structure, and even now, this has been taken, the Asian range high has been taken as well. And since we are still reacting off from that demand that we have right here, I was thinking, okay, I think price is just breaking structure, returning back to demand zone, and that was how I got into another buy right here. And as you can see, market started going in my favor again for some few pips before I was eventually ripped out of the trade at this level. That was how I got my losing trade, and I was actually thinking to go up and fill up those imbalances that were on the higher time frame. So, but I was wrong. Markets came down, took me out, and dropped massively. So this is why you should, before you get into any trade, you should always have your stop loss set in all trades. Don't make the mistake of getting into a trade without your stop loss. Please don't do that, because as you can see right here, my stop loss was at this level. Market pushed up and you can see this massive drop. Imagine how much will be gone from your capital if you didn't have your stop loss right here. Okay, it can blow your account if care not taken. Okay, so always have your stop loss in place, because you never can tell when there will be spikes in the market. Okay, so I think all of this was because of news, spike down, spike up, eventually this all moved to the downside. Okay, so that was it on today's trade. And looking at Nasdaq now, Nasdaq has really dropped. Okay, now it's really dropped, and this drop was massive. This is about 350 pips right there. Some will call it 3,500 pips, but I just like to go with the first you can see this first number printed here. So this is about 350 pips on Nasdaq today, which is quite huge. And market took out all of this liquidity right here. This is liquidity, but I wasn't looking at it like this. I was looking at it as higher highs, higher lows, and as you all know, trend line liquidity will be grabbed at some point. Okay, so that was what happened right there. All right, guys, that will be the end of this video. You can see my losses, and I hope you've learned from it. And try not to overtrade. Try to avoid Fomo, fear of missing out. Always set your stop loss and take profit. And also, every day, always make sure you check investing.com or Forex Factory in order to know what time there will be news releases, so you can either set your trades into break even or into profits because of price spikes. All right, guys, thank you for watching this video, and that will be the end.